Welcome to the Soul Archaeology podcast, a space for connection, resonance, witnessing, and learning. Together we'll harvest medicine from the spiral of life, sharing conversations with other embodied humans who have navigated their own initiations and found alignment with their true soul essence. With weekly astrology, energy updates, embodied conversation, and channeled teachings, this is a space for you to land and find resonance with the spiral of your own soul. Hello there. Welcome back. I'm so happy to be connecting with you today. I am actually recording this while I'm in Greece, and it's been such a deeply nourishing time. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I've been swimming in the Aegean and eating great food and resting a lot and really doing a pretty big reset on my nervous system. I've been doing so much recollection and reviewing of the last 5 years, which is the last time I was here in Greece, 2019. And then the time before that, which was 2017. And just really looking back over this timeline, we're in such a heavy retrograde period. So this is certainly the case for everyone right now. We're doing so much reviewing and peeling back and looking over things that we've already navigated and making some connection points. So this has been a really powerful time for me, and I'm just glad I can bring some of the insights and the wisdom to all of you in this episode. I spoke a little bit about this on Instagram the other day, but if you don't follow me there, then I'll just recap a little bit. But I am on my Jupiter line, and if you don't know, I do offer astrocartography readings. I study astrocartography, and I really, really love it and utilize it within my own life. It's super powerful. It's so insightful, and it's really fun to just be able to pinpoint and find those locations on the globe where certain and specific energies manifest for you. And these certain places interact with your own natal birth chart and with your own personality and your own auric field to create opportunities and circumstances where you can receive what you need to. Certain lines or certain planetary lines and angles are wonderful to live on and spend a lot of time on and sort of deepen into. They feel really nourishing, like Jupiter or Venus. Others are more challenging, and that doesn't mean that you have to avoid them altogether, but it just means that they are lines that you don't want to simmer on or spend too much time within because the energy can be quite intense. So I was born on my Pluto line in St. Louis, which is intense. And although I love St. Louis so much, and when I go back, I have dear friends and family there, but the energetics of what I experience while I'm there is really intense and it's really deep. And it certainly informed the first 30 years of my life and what I needed to experience in order to become who I am today, to do the work that I do. But living on it was a lot. And a lot of you responded and said that you too were born on your Pluto lines and gave me insight in how that's transformed you. And I really think I'm going to do a whole episode on astrocartography because it's so fascinating, and I'm getting more and more requests for sessions. But here in Greece, I am on my Jupiter line. And if you know Jupiter is a really supportive planet. It's a benefic planet, so it brings luck and positivity, expansion. It really depends on how Jupiter is aspected in your own natal chart. But for me, I have a Jupiter in Gemini opposite my moon in Sagittarius. So being here feels so nourishing for me. It really feeds my Sagittarian need for expansion and joy and experience and newness and adventure because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So it's the ruler of my moon. So it's how I nourish myself. So I want to do a whole episode, like I said, on astrocartography. But today we are talking about this massive week we have coming up. And I'm always a little hesitant to say that because I feel like a broken record sometimes. I feel like the last, 5 or 6 years have just been waves of intensity, and that's, of course, the case with being human here on this planet. We chose to be here at this time because we have certain things we need to learn, that we need to integrate, that we are here to transform and evolve through. But more specifically, since 2012, it's really just gotten quite intense, and we have waves of light coming through that are closer together. And as we know, what we've talked about on this podcast before, is when we have these waves of light, these waves of illumination, they activate the density within us, and things can feel quite intense. So this week, we really have quite a bit of illumination. We've just come out of a major portal of illumination within the Lion's Gate and new moon in Leo. And now we're moving into a full moon in Aquarius on August 19th at 11:26 a.m. Pacific. I spoke a little bit about this full moon in last week's episode, and I would actually really encourage you to go back to episode 61, last week's episode, and listen to that alongside this episode, because there is so much of what occurred last week that's bleeding into this week and will really continue to inform the rest of August. So I spoke a lot about the Jupiter and Uranus square last week, which started to build, and that will be a major theme alongside this full moon in Aquarius this week. So, a major theme of now is liberation, and the idea that only we can liberate ourselves. So it's a good time to sit with and think about where we hold illusion around being trapped, stuck, restricted, where we're seeking someone to come save us, to liberate us. We are our own saviors. And when we band together, we create a force that is unmatched. This is the theme of the full moon in Aquarius. It's liberation, it's clarity, it's individuation, but reconnection with the greater good and the greater whole. The connection of our sameness, our oneness. And before I really dive into the energy of this full moon in Aquarius and the continuation of an intensification of Jupiter's squaring Saturn, I want to mention that on top of all of this, we have the eclipse window that has opened. We have our first eclipse on September 17th and another in Libra on October 2nd. The first eclipse on September 17th is actually in Pisces. So we begin to interact with this new axis of the lunar nodes, which we will officially enter into in January. But it's pretty big, it's pretty significant. It really illustrates this theme of one consciousness, of union, of the really high aspects of Pisces that we are wanting and really needing to embody within this time and space collectively and individually. And as we know, the eclipse energy starts to open and build a month before the actual eclipse date. So we're within that window. It started on August 17th, and we're starting to build. And for me, one of the most fascinating things about astrology is that you will see things happening that seem synchronistic, but are actually deeply woven into the greater fabric of the system. And this full moon that we have on August 19th at 27 degrees Aquarius, is really a precursor to the events and the energetic climate that will continue to unfold throughout September, October, November, even December. And I will talk a little bit about why this full moon is so significant. To understand how this full moon affects you, it's important to look at where Aquarius lands in your chart. 27 degrees, so we're looking at between 23 and 29 degrees of Aquarius, and then even into 2 degrees of Pisces. And then also looking at where you have placements within 23 to 29 degrees of other fixed signs. So Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo. If you have planetary placements that lie within that range in the fixed signs, you will feel this full moon more intensely. We've been doing a lot of work within the fixed signs recently over the last few years. We've had the nodes there, we've had Pluto entering into Aquarius. So it's really asking for us to look at where we are fixed, where we are stuck, or afraid to move beyond certain walls of familiarity and comfort because they keep us safe. They keep us in the familiar, in the known. And this is so much of why we're here, to have our beliefs challenged, to expand past our walls of comfort and familiarity, to break through walls of consciousness and evolve past them. So, and the reason I'm talking so much about the collective is because that's what Aquarius rules. So it's important for us to be able to hold to our sense of authenticity. Looking back on February 9th, when we had our new moon in Aquarius, what were your intentions? Can you look back in your journal? Can you perhaps maybe look at photos or voice notes or text messages, just things that you were thinking about and navigating? Where are you now? This is a checkpoint. This is where we check the fruits of what we've planted. Aquarius is an air sign. So it's related to mobility, change, movement, communication, technology, views and beliefs, the mind. And it knows the one way to access true collective liberation is through liberation of the boxes that we place ourselves within. And that might be identities, it might be beliefs about ourselves, what we hold to be true and possible within our own lives and within the world. And because this is an air sign, a full moon in an air sign, it will be illuminating our mental processes. As we know, the full moon is an illumination point. It is where we reach the peak of light, illuminating our moon, illuminating our internal landscape, our emotions, our feelings. And when it's in an air sign, it's going to illuminate the influence of our mind on our feelings, on our emotions, the mental programs that are running, where we're receiving data and information from. So full moons are always illuminating. They're always providing light and insight, and can be quite confronting because some of what we see isn't necessarily easy to fix or easy to release, but it's a time of release. And this full moon in particular is being heavily influenced by Uranus, which is in Taurus. And Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. It is a planet that was discovered later, so it's not the traditional ruler, but the modern ruler of Aquarius. And Uranus is the great liberator. It is here to help us revolutionize, to break free, to see new perspectives and new ways of doing things, new ways of being, new systems that can be created. and new ideas. Uranus is the great disruptor. It comes in to create change, to revolutionize. And with Uranus's journey or transit through Taurus, it has been revolutionizing our roots, the deep subterranean material, our grounding, our money, our financial systems, our sense of safety, familiarity. Taurus is, of course, a fixed earth sign, so it likes consistency. It likes to be rooted. It likes to know what's happening. It likes to be grounded. Uranus, as the great disruptor, is shaking things up within our money, our financial systems, within our own sense of safety within this world. With this moon squaring Uranus, it's asking for us to revolutionize many aspects of our lives, our beliefs, our mental systems and programs, as we have this squaring happening with Mercury Retrograde as well, communications, relationships, identity, sense of self, and specifically ideas and beliefs. Expect the unexpected with this full moon. I know that sounds like it might be scary, and I hope it doesn't induce any anxiety, but it's really truly the climate that we're in. Every single day, new things are being revealed. And that's what this full moon will really bring forward is revelations. And we will need strong and resilient systems, nervous systems, subconscious systems to navigate the twists and turns of the next 6 months. This full moon in Aquarius can certainly bring forward feelings of restlessness. It's desiring change and freedom. It will show us where we are stuck, especially because we still have this Jupiter and Saturn square. We're looking at where we are stuck, where we are tied or tethered to the past, where we're stuck in our beliefs, where we're stuck in patterns or programs that are no longer serving, and where we hold the illusion that we can't escape the boxes that we've been placed within, where we have the illusion that we aren't our own liberators. This moon is about illuminating the spaces within us that hold the promise of liberation. Money is a very big theme because we have Uranus and Taurus, which rules our financial systems and our internal systems and views around money, and our external ones, our collective systems. And it's important to note this because money can be a tool. It can be the great liberator. It can really help us to feel free. And it can also really intensify feelings of being stuck and restricted. And with this T-square being formed between Uranus, the moon, the sun, and Mercury retrograde, we have a massive opportunity to really rewire where we feel stuck and restricted in relationships, in our mental programs and patterns, in our communication. If you think that you are sure of something, if you've held to one belief for a very long time, this is an audit. I encourage you to zoom out to see if there's another way, another perspective to take in the whole. Even if it results in the same belief, it's a great exercise, and it's one that we really need in the here and now. So it's important to zoom out, to really think about the bigger picture, the wider perspective. There's a lot of trickster energy in the field right now. Wolves in sheep's clothing, people operating under virtuism and not actually aligning with the morals and values that they describe. And this is across the board. This is not tied to a political party or to a group of people. This is across the board. And it really is a result of people getting stuck in their echo chambers, stuck in their boxes. Many believe that we began the Aquarian age in the early 1900s. We had the Industrial Revolution. Things socially, economically really began to shift. Consciously, things began to shift significantly. So much of what we began to create around that time was for the greater good. But is it really? Does it still serve in that same way? And these are really things to think about within your own consciousness as well. We only have access to what we know in the present moment that shapes and forms our reality. But as we move along, we gain new information, new insights that shape our consciousness. But we have to move past the fear of change in order to grow and evolve, in order to push past those walls of consciousness. And this is significant because we have Pluto moving back into Capricorn on September 1st, so in a few weeks. And this will really bring us back into the old structures and old ways of being and thinking to decide if we're ready to step into the new, to face the fear of the unknown, to face the fear of change. This is the breakthrough moon. It will illuminate where we are restricted, where we are holding ourselves in boxes, where we're conforming or sacrificing our authenticity to belong to something. It is shaping us into warriors of light to be ready for what's to come. So the T-square between the moon, Uranus, Sun, and Mercury retrograde is liberating us. It's showing where we are stuck and restricted. We also have the squaring happening between Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, and Venus, which is doing much of the same. It's showing where we seek expansion, but we are afraid to, where we are blocked to what's on the other side of our fears. I do encourage you to go back and listen to episode 61, where we dive into the energetics of this Jupiter and Saturn square. This really is one of the, biggest times of 2024. So many of the themes that we're navigating are sort of centralized and contained within this week. It's important to remember that you are a sovereign being, that you can take and leave whatever resonates and does not, that you can do that every single day in your life, and that you get the opportunity to shape your reality. Amidst all the chaos and the change, all the fear that's surfacing through the cracks and crevices, you have the ability to choose. You have the gift of choice, of agency. You can choose how you respond. You can choose what you consume. You can choose what you allow into your life. And it is this conscious choice that we have access to in each moment that shapes and forms our reality. I'm excited to see what this full moon brings. It is certainly a time of reckoning, so it's deeply illuminating. It's a change maker moon, and I am here for it. Something I really love to do during times of great change or transformation is to wear a talisman, to select a talisman and let that sort of anchor and guide me through a very specific process or journey. And in 2020, I connected with a brand called Katori and Holly, the founder, and it was just in deep alignment. I ended up buying the Ankh necklace, which is such a powerful and beautiful talisman. It's connected to Isis and the divine feminine, and it really held me through a pretty transformative portal of time. Katori is a brand that I respect deeply for their ethos. They plant 10 trees for every piece of jewelry made. They are in such deep reverence and respect for the pieces that are made, for the symbolism, for the lineage, and you can really feel that. So I'm going to share a link to get 25% off a Katori piece. It can be a really powerful way to anchor some of the transformative energy that you're navigating. The card that I pulled today is the Ray of Light card from the Untamed Elemental deck. And it's all about focus. It's the Ray of Light offers speedy luminosity. Its bright spectrum beams wide, a fundamental constant of nature that allows us to see and understand our world. His reasoning polarizes everything in his path, intensifying exactness and focusing on the impalpable. Out of him we create realities. In his brightness, all inhibitions subside. All uncertainties fall away. What was once blurred focuses with sharp clarity, aligning your perspectives with omniscience. Ray of Light reminds you that where your attention goes, energy flows. Your consciousness is a light ray, highlighting life-giving nourishment. What you emphasize with your awareness can either enhance or deplete your quality of life. Ask Ray of Light to help you focus on your vision for the future rather than your fears. See your dreams coming into form. Imagine the tastes, smells, and colors coalescing into a world where you want to live. When it's balanced, you're able to visualize positive outcomes and bring them into form. When it's imbalanced, you're fixated upon what you don't want. To bring into balance, fiercely redirect your attention. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully the audio is okay. I'm using a little portable mic and it is Mercury retrograding me. So I'm so grateful, as always, for your presence, for your support, for tuning in, for sharing your heart, for sharing on Instagram. Sharing episodes helps me so much to grow and expand. And I love you all. I hope you have a beautiful, illuminating, and powerful full moon. See you next week.